For young people today, social media isn't some optional extra thing, it's just woven into the very fabric of their lives. But what is all this constant connection really doing to their mental health? Okay, let's get into it and unpack what the research is actually telling us about this double-edged sword. And if you want to understand the sheer scale of this, well, this number right here says it all. Research from Johns Hopkins shows a staggering 9 out of 10 teenagers are on social media every single day. And get this, nearly half of them say they're online almost constantly. This isn't just a hobby, you know? This is the actual environment they're growing up in. So, when you have that level of total immersion, it really all boils down to the core question we're tackling here. Is it helping or is it hurting? And as we're about to find out, the answer, well, it's not a simple yes or no. It's a really complex story with two very different sides. So let's start with the upside. What makes these platforms so compelling in the first place? Well, for millions of young people, they offer this incredibly powerful sense of connection and community, and that can be genuinely life-changing. You see, for so many, especially kids who might feel kind of marginalized in their offline lives, these platforms are where they find their people. It's where they can affirm who they are, find information, and build a real network of support that actually helps buffer them from real-world stress. For some, it can be a lifeline they just can't find at school or maybe even at home. And this quote from a World Health Organization report, it just hits the nail on the head. It cuts right to the heart of it all. It's about finding people who just get you, breaking through geography or social anxiety to connect over something you both love. That connection can be an incredibly powerful foundation for a real friendship. Okay, so that's the good, but now we have to flip the coin over, because for all those clear benefits, the research also points to what you could call a perfect storm of pretty significant risks. The very same platforms that build community can also create some really profound challenges. Now, here's a really crucial point. Experts are looking way beyond just time spent online. The WHO actually uses a clinical term for this: problematic social media use. And this describes a real pattern of addiction-like behaviors. Things like not being able to control how much you use it, feeling anxious or irritable when you can't get online, and letting it interfere with school, hobbies, and sleep. And look, this isn't some rare thing. Data from a huge 2022 survey found that more than 1 in 10 adolescents are showing signs of this problematic use. But check out the gender gap here. At 13%, girls are significantly more likely to report these behaviors than boys are. And that suggests they might be shouldering a much heavier burden from the negative pressures of social media. So what are the specific harms we're talking about? Well, the research points consistently to these big areas. It's that constant social comparison, right? The risk of online conflict and bullying, the serious concerns around body image and eating, and of course, the well-documented disruption of sleep. The potential for harm is both wide-ranging and very, very real. Okay, so we see the risks and we see the benefits. But why is there a link between scrolling through a feed and feeling depressed? What's the actual mechanism at play here? Let's break down what researchers think is going on under the surface. All right, before we go any further, this is one of the most important points in this whole explainer. Every single expert is extremely careful to make this distinction. We see a clear correlation. As social media use has skyrocketed, so have rates of youth depression. But, and this is so critical, researchers have not proven that one directly causes the other. It's that classic case of correlation does not equal causation. So if it's not a direct cause, what are the pathways? Well, experts at Johns Hopkins point to these 3 key factors. Let's walk through them. First, social isolation. The idea that online interactions just aren't as emotionally rewarding as face-to-face ones. Second, displaced activities. All that time you're spending online is time you're not spending doing healthy things like exercising or sleeping. And third, and man, this is a big one, lack of sleep. The combo of blue light from our screens and anxiety-inducing content can absolutely wreck our sleep cycles. That second point actually has a name, the displaced behavior theory. And it's a really simple but powerful idea. Our time is basically a zero-sum game, right? Every hour spent scrolling through a feed is an hour you're not spending outside or playing a sport or just talking with your family. All things that we know are like protective shields for our mental health. So, knowing all this, the risks, the rewards, and the reasons why, the big question becomes, okay, what do we do about it? How do we move forward? This last part is all about actionable advice from the experts on how we can navigate our digital world in a much healthier way. The goal here isn't to just ban technology. It's all about being intentional, about taking back control. And these super practical steps can make a world of difference. For instance, just turning off non-essential notifications can break that constant cycle of distraction. And creating phone-free zones, like the dinner table, or even more importantly, the bedroom at night, that reclaims vital space for real connection and good, restorative sleep. And this quote from Dr. Katzenstein is just so crucial because it reminds us that these rules aren't just for the kids. The research is crystal clear on this. Children learn way more from what we do than from what we say. Modeling a healthy, intentional relationship with our own devices is probably the single most powerful thing a parent can do. Which brings us to our final and maybe our most important thought. This whole conversation has to be about more than just setting screen time limits. It has to be about how we engage with each other online. What is our role and what are our responsibilities to each other in these digital spaces? Answering that question for ourselves and with our kids, that is the real key to building a healthier digital future for everyone.